is Jacqueline. I am a corporate flight attendant and welcome to my YouTube channel. In advance, I want to apologize for this lighting. It's all I have to work with today. If I don't record today, I'm not going to give you guys an update, so here we are. A little update on how I am feeling. Obviously, I'm still not feeling that great. You can probably tell in my voice. My face does not look as swollen as it was the last time I talked to you guys, or I guess cried to you guys. I can speak without crying now. I'm still like super tender and like swollen in this area in my sinuses. That's why the makeup is minimal today. It did not feel very good to put on, but I'm going to consider it a small victory. After almost a week, I finally have makeup on my face again. So in today's video, it is a Jacqueline Answers video. I am answering questions that you guys had asked me on the community tab of my YouTube page. I want to start doing these more often because a lot of times I am asked the same questions, and I feel like if I make a video solely dedicated to answering your questions, it will just be easier for my viewers and subscribers to find all of that information in one spot. And speaking of subscribers, please make sure that you hit that button down below to subscribe to this channel. All right, so we're going to get started. And a few weeks ago, I simply asked if you guys had any questions because I wanted to record a video where I answer your questions. So this is the first round, the first time I'm doing it. I'm going to call the series Jacqueline Answers, and I'm going to put it in a separate playlist so it's easy for you guys to find the answers. I'll have the questions typed down below in the description for you as well. Okay, so my first question was, what is the main difference between being a commercial flight attendant and a corporate flight attendant? The jobs are two totally different things. You can't easily transition from one into the other. I would say the biggest difference between the two is just what the workload is. So on the commercial side of flight attending, I would show up and everything that I would need was on the plane. And if it wasn't on the plane, I would just make a phone call to the ground workers, and then they would bring it on board the airplane for us so we could have a flight. Now, as a corporate flight attendant, I don't really have that luxury anymore. If I need anything, I'm in charge of getting it. I'm the only person working on the airplane. I'm responsible for making it all happen. So definitely the biggest change is just how much more responsibility is involved on the corporate side of things. It's not just supply getting and food serving. It's if anything goes wrong on the airplane, I'm the only one there to defuse the situation. I don't want to take the pilots out of the flight deck to help me help the passengers. So everything is on me. Whereas if there was anything that kind of went crazy at the airlines, I would have other flight attendants working with me and we could work as a team to diffuse whatever situation was happening. So in a nutshell, that's the biggest difference between corporate flying and commercial flying. Okay, the next question that was asked is, what is the difference between contract corporate flight attendant work and full-time corporate flight attendant work? So when you are a contract flight attendant, that basically means you're self-employed, you have to make connections and build relationships and hope to book work on your own. You don't have a company providing you with flights. You don't have people who need you to fly and who send you a schedule. You're out there, you're hustling, you're doing it on your own, and you work for your day rate. So when you're on the contract side, you definitely have more flexibility because you can accept trips or deny trips depending on what your schedule is, and you can negotiate your pay more. So contract flight attendants, like I said, work on their day rate. It's anywhere between about $550 to $700 every day that you fly. When you are a full-time corporate flight attendant, that means you are in a salaried position. So one month you might have 2 4-day trips, and the other month you might be working 25 days that month. You're still making the same amount of money because you're working for a company who has you on salary. You might have days where you fly 1 passenger, 1 leg, and then the next day you're flying 14 people, 3 different legs, and not really sleeping and working like crazy. These are all the kind of trips that I do, by the way. and then the pay stays the same because you are a salary. So you're hired with a company, you have a little bit more job security. Of course, you always have to be doing a good job and have good ethics and report on time and just be a star employee. But yeah, there's a little more job security associated with being a full-time corporate flight attendant. Sorry if I sound funny. I realize how nasally I am and how swollen I am now that I'm talking this much. I haven't been talking this much since I've gotten sick. But anyway, there was a part 2 to this question, and it was, how do you go about getting either contract work or full-time work? When I got my first contract gig, I actually had signed up on Indeed.com, and they sent me an email saying, hey, this airport close to your house is looking for a corporate flight attendant to work these days. So I sent them my resume. I interviewed 3 different times before they called me, and I finally got contract work from them. That contract work, my first ever contract flight, led to my full-time position. So it's all about establishing contacts. It's not an easy industry to break into, but some tips that I have for you: 1, definitely sign up on Indeed.com. Your job alert keywords are going to be corporate flight attendant, corporate aviation. Sign up for all those alerts. This way, anytime any one of those positions in your area comes up, you are going to be receiving an email and you can apply for those jobs. They'll be sent to you. It's less work for you to go out and have to seek them yourself. Something else to think of: it's not only rich people who need private jets and flight attendants on those private jets. Major companies always have jets. They have flight attendants. So search for companies in your area too. You can fly their executives. You fly their CEOs, their top dogs. It's not just people chartering flights for vacation or fun use. The majority of the flights that I've seen are for business purposes. They're not for a fun, crazy bachelor party out in Las Vegas or flying to Art Basel in Miami, although I do frequent Miami and I have been there for that event. But it's mostly business people who really need to utilize their time. So meetings are hosted on board. Obviously, they're connected through the Wi-Fi, and it just becomes an office at 40,000 feet in the sky. So search for companies, big companies who are based around your house, and look at their websites and apply with them as well. There are also staffing agencies to help place corporate flight attendants. They take like a small percentage for getting you contract work. I think it's a good idea because, like I said, it's a very hard industry to break into. So if you're paying kind of a small fee to get that awesome day rate of $550 to $700 for every day that you're working, seems like a good wash to me. And don't forget, contract trips can lead to full-time work. That's what I'm doing. That's how I did it. All right, the next question that I see is, are cover letters required when submitting your resume? Yes, you absolutely want to have a cover letter to go with your resume, but on top of that, you want to have like a food portfolio or pictures of food that you have prepared or interiors that you have decorated. So if you've watched my channel, you know the number 1 responsibility of a flight attendant is safety. However, on the corporate side of flight attending, we are in the service industry. Not to say the commercial side is not in the service industry, but we prepare everything to make sure our passengers have a wonderful onboard experience. Sometimes you just can't do that in the commercial world. So make a food portfolio, take pictures of food that you have cooked, or take pictures of food that has already been cooked and that you have plated yourself, and just show the company how you can present food. Show them how fancy you can be, how creative you can get with the resources that you have. It's definitely going to give you a one-up. And then this wasn't asked, but there's a lot of debate on whether or not you should include a headshot on your resume. I see positives and I see negatives in doing so. So positive, obviously you're selling yourself. That's the best you're gonna look because that's the picture that you chose to attach to your resume. The negative is some men are just gonna look at the picture and hire you because you look like a catch. They wanna get to know you. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like I want to lean toward you shouldn't attach your photo to a resume, because if you have a strong resume and a strong cover letter and a strong food portfolio with good pictures, your work is going to speak for itself, and it shouldn't matter how you look. So it's up to you. On my current resume, yes, I do have a headshot. It's not like a glamour shot or anything. I'm actually standing outside of an airplane. So do with that what you want. But I don't know, perhaps I'll get rid of it one day. I don't know. I'm working full time. I haven't had to send my resume out. Do with it what you want. Okay, so there's definitely a theme going on with these questions. The next question that I was asked is, how do you approach FBOs to find work? So if you're not familiar with an FBO, I'll link a video down below for you to explain exactly what an FBO is. It is a fixed-based operator or fixed-based operation, and the schedulers live there. Usually there's a hangar, the plane parks at the hangar, there's refrigerators there for the corporate flight attendants to get everything done, there's a maintenance team, just like anything you need basically happens at the FBOs. It's also where the passengers come to wait for the airplanes. So a lot of time you're pounding the pavement, trying to make those connections, trying to secure a job, and flight attendants will go into FBOs, they'll bring home-baked goods or a little gift basket and submit it to the people working at the front counters of the FBO, along with resumes saying, hey, if anyone out of here is flying, please pass on my information to them. You shouldn't be that generic though. You should definitely research what companies are housed inside the FBO and make a cover letter addressed to whom it may concern, who is involved with that company inside the FBO. Also, if you're able to slip a few resumes under doors of offices that are there, I see nothing wrong with that. You gotta hustle in this industry to get work. Just do what you gotta do. My next question was, what are some ways that you can make your resume stand out? I feel like I touched on this a little when I said that you should have a food portfolio, but that's definitely gonna help you stand out. It's something that is super unique to you, because at the end of the day, we all kind of have the same training. Numbers will vary based on experience between you and the other person who's applying. So stand out with your food profile. Show them how awesome you are and how creative you can be. All right, I've already talked about day rates for contract flight attendants in this video. Granted, I wasn't asked about that, but I was asked, what is a full-time salary for a contract flight attendant? This is a hard one to answer because it depends on what region you're based in, if you're flying Part 135 or Part 91. Sorry, I just saw a giant spider. It's creeping me out. Getting back on track, I'm going to use some of my money to call an exterminator. So it just depends on what kind of flying that you're going to be doing. There was a poll recently on one of the Instagram pages I follow. I want to say it was the FA Life. She's a flight attendant. Her name is Kara. And she asked everyone how much we're making as corporate flight attendants. And I was shocked at how many people said like $40,000, $45,000. You absolutely should not take a flight attendant job for $45,000. You can make that much at the airlines and work half as hard as we do. I feel like realistically, no matter what region you're in, you should probably be making about $75,000 to start. Maybe a little less, hopefully a little more, but I feel like that is a fair number considering the amount of work that is involved. Next up, I was asked about following TSA regulations when traveling on your own and suitcase sizes. So again, this all depends if you're Part 91, Part 135, if you are based where you fly out of, or if you are commuting. So I work all of my flights, I drive to the FBO, get on the plane, and then start my trip. So I'm not commuting on an airline to get anywhere. It's very rare that I have reposition flights where I would have to fly on the airlines, but sometimes I have to. And yes, when I'm flying on the airlines, I do have to follow TSA guidelines, meaning I have to have the small little bottles for all of my liquids. I have to put them in a bin, in a plastic Ziploc bag, separate from all my stuff, take my laptop out, take my shoes off in the airport, which is so disgusting, and go through security with the people. But when I get to the FBO and I'm flying on my plane, I just walk my suitcase to the cargo area and the pilots put it in cargo for me. Nothing is checked. So it's avoided when I'm working trips out of home. Now, when we go on our layovers, they are ran through security, but flying out of the FBOs, I'm allowed to bring a giant hairspray if I need a giant hairspray. As far as suitcase sizes go, I always bring a carry-on because you never know what's gonna happen. So I have worked on my airplane before, and it was supposed to be flying back to the FBO that I am based out of, and the airplane broke. So my company sent me home on the airlines. I hate checking bags. I don't want to be away from my things. I've had an airline lose my bag. Luckily, they returned it the next day, but it was so stressful wondering if I was going to get my items back. So I am not a bag checker. I am a bag carry-oner. Is that a thing? I'm making it a thing. So I carry a carry-on size Travel Pro rollerboard bag. The trip that I was on when the airplane broke and I had to fly on the airlines, I just left my liquid on my plane that was flying back to the FBO once the airplane was fixed, and I picked it up whenever the airplane was fixed and got back in town. It just depends what kind of flying you're doing. I know it's not a solid answer. I hope that gives you some sort of idea here. All right, we're on to our last question, but definitely not our least question because this was asked so many different times. But the question that I got was, are there any companies that will train you to become a corporate flight attendant? And I know you guys are asking me this because training costs about $5,000 to become certified. It's a big investment for no promise of work. You might not get any work for a long time and you pay $5,000, and that's a bummer. I haven't really come across any companies that will pay you to certify you to be a corporate flight attendant, and that's simply because there are so many of us out there. It's such a competitive industry, and companies know that there will be a girl or a guy out there who's already paid the money, who's already certified. They can get on the airplane tomorrow and start flying. I've heard of instances where companies have used commercially certified flight attendants to work trips just because they have all of the FAA training that's involved. And let me tell you, the FAA training is far better than what you're gonna get on the corporate side of things. Safety-wise, it's just a more in-depth course. They cover a lot more. I felt better having the FAA training before I went through flight safety just to become certified to cook in the sky. Basically, that's how I feel about flight safety. That's what they did. Whatever, it is what it is. I don't really think that they're out there. I'm sorry, I know that's a bummer because it's so much money and you really have to think hard if this is a job that you want to do, because it is a big investment, it is very competitive, and it is not easy to get work. So if you're thinking about it, make a pro and con list. Don't quit your day job just yet. Maybe you can pick up work on the side until things really get moving and you have enough work to pay all of your bills. I'm very winded, it's from being sick. The sinus infection is catching up with me. It's time to make myself a cup of tea and lay on the couch again. But luckily, those were all of the questions in the part 1 that I was asked. So I am gonna do a series like this again. I don't know exactly when it's gonna be, so if you have additional questions, comments, thoughts, or concerns, post them down below for me. If you need me to elaborate on anything, also, just let me know. That's what I'm here for. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for excusing the appearance and the voice. I feel like Fran Drescher. I'm not upset about it because I idolize her. It's just what I'm working with. So thank you guys for coming by. Please do make sure that you subscribe to my channel and leave me a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you guys on the next adventure. Thank you.